How would you respond if the individual who betrayed your confidence suddenly appeared and asked for another chance? Imagine the person you believed you had moved on from after they cheated on you, showing up out of the blue and requesting a fresh start. It's not just a casual comeback, it's the ex who left you for someone else and is now saying she's changed her mind. Would you allow her to do that? Or is there no way to turn back now? In today's video, we delve into that situation and examine what transpires when a previous betrayal reappears. After a year of silence, my ex-girlfriend, who cheated on me with her trainer, finally got in touch. She wants me back now that her life is disintegrating. Hello everyone, I'm 28 years old and I honestly don't know how to handle this strange circumstance that recently came up. Perhaps it will help to get it off my chest. Names are definitely fictitious. I was in a committed 3-year relationship with Megan, 27, just over a year ago. From my point of view, everything between us appeared to be excellent. We discussed living together and even casually discussed getting married in the future. I started getting interested in fitness then and brought her to Jake, 30, my personal trainer. I figured they had an excellent trainer-client relationship, so I didn't give it much thought, even though Jake was charismatic and he and Megan clicked. Megan began becoming more aloof after they had been working out together for a few months. After working out, she would be busy and arrive home late, and her phone would abruptly be on Do Not Disturb all the time. She would dismiss me when I asked her, claiming I was overly suspicious. As it happened, I wasn't paranoid. Megan left her phone on the counter one evening while taking a shower, and Jake's texts appeared on it. Let's assume they should have discussed diets or exercise regimens. When I confronted her right away, she broke down and confessed to cheating on him for months. She informed me that she couldn't help falling in love with Jake and that it wasn't about me. Within a week, she packed her belongings and moved in with him. My life was at its worst during that period. My whole universe seemed to have been torn apart. I cut her off from everything and concentrated on reassembling my life, going to the gym, therapy, and spending time with friends. Despite the severe scar it left behind, I gradually began to move on. Then, unexpectedly, she called me on a different number a few days ago. I wouldn't respond at first, but my curiosity won out. She began by expressing that she had made a big mistake, missed me, and was sorry for everything. It seems that Jake's situation quickly deteriorated. Oh, how ironic that she discovered he was having an affair. She is now stuck, lonely, and depressed after their breakup. She even acknowledged that she had been considering me for months but was too embarrassed to get in touch sooner. She expressed her desire to put things right and acknowledged that what she shared with me was genuine. She asked if we could get together to chat and said she'd stop at nothing to prove she'd changed. But here's the issue, Reddit. While I still harbor certain affections for her, I also want to block her immediately and never look back. Hearing her sound so broken on the phone made me wonder if I could ever trust her again after what she did. Perhaps it's nostalgia, maybe it's sympathy, or maybe I'm just a moron. I'm now trying to decide whether to listen to her or to tell her to stay in the past, where she belongs. We got together for coffee yesterday. I didn't really know what to anticipate going in. I was still interested in what she had to say, but I also needed closure. We spoke for 2 hours and there was much to take in. Megan began by saying she was sorry. She acknowledged that her greatest life mistake was leaving me for Jake, and she has been paying the price ever since. Without going into too much detail, their relationship didn't work out as well as she had hoped, and it essentially fell apart. Since then, she has experienced mental, emotional, and financial difficulties. She's had a challenging year. I wasn't really ready for this phase, though. She also mentioned many aspects of our relationship that I had never considered. She claimed that although cheating on me was very wrong, she also thought I wasn't the most incredible boyfriend. She claimed that she was resentful of me because I didn't always make her feel valued. She said she thought she wasn't a priority and that I was occasionally emotionally aloof, more preoccupied with my job or interests. Although she didn't use it as an explanation, she claimed that she was enticed by someone who made her feel wanted because of pent-up animosity. That was a powerful sound. Although I didn't think of myself that way, I can see where I might have made a mistake now. Perhaps I was oblivious to some of her demands, but I felt like a decent partner. After considering it, she claimed she should have discussed her feelings with me rather than going out. She asked if we could try again once we had concluded our conversation. She said she wanted to re-establish what we had because she had learned from her mistakes. She told me she was prepared to go slowly and demonstrate her newfound maturity. However, I'm conflicted. In one sense, I've healed a lot over the last year, and I'm not sure if I should or can go back. However, I can't deny that I felt something when I heard her own errors and gave her perspective. Perhaps it's a sense of closure, empathy, or the return of past emotions. To be honest, I have no idea. I'm just perplexed now. I'm torn between wanting to go on and never look back and wondering if we both made mistakes that could be corrected now that we're adults. I wonder if she's merely attempting to allay her guilt, or if a better future is possible. How would you all respond? Is it preferable to let the past go where it belongs, or is there any use in attempting to rebuild? Megan appeared honest and kept texting me to attempt to extend the conversation. She was clearly having difficulties, and I felt sorry for her. However, every time I considered giving her another chance, I couldn't help but think of how devastated I was to learn that she had cheated. She apologized, but I knew the trust might never be restored because it had been betrayed. I was on the verge of moving on, but something completely unexpected sealed the deal. A few days ago, I received a message from a friend that Megan and I shared. After our meeting, Megan apparently had a bit of a breakdown. In an attempt to mend their relationship, she turned back to Jake, but it turned out he had been unfaithful to her from the beginning. According to what I've been told, the situation worsened and culminated in a heated altercation between Megan and Jake, which put them both in grave legal danger. To put it succinctly, Megan's life has essentially fallen apart. Her mental health is currently in a terrible state. She lost her job, and she is dealing with legal concerns. I won't lie. Hearing all of that was a stomach punch. Hearing about someone you once loved experiencing such suffering is difficult. However, I also thought I was receiving a message from the cosmos. I understood that Megan was desperate and didn't know where else to turn. She wasn't returning to me. She loved me and genuinely wanted to make things right. Instead of being her choice, I would have served as her safety net. Therefore, I made my choice. I stopped talking to her, informed her that we both needed to move on, and still sent her my best wishes. It's the best option for us both. Since Megan and I split up, I've been doing fantastic. I've been concentrating on developing new relationships, my work, and myself. I've started utilizing dating apps, and while they're not the best, they're unquestionably better than what was going on before. I'm in a good position now, both emotionally and mentally. I feel like I can be genuinely happy again for the first time in a long time. If this has taught me anything, sometimes it's best to let the past go. It's been a crazy journey, but I'm finally at peace. People can change and grow, but it doesn't always imply they're destined to be in your future. Everyone, keep going. You deserve better than to settle for someone who didn't value you in the first place. Second story. A secret that survived. I recently discovered that my brother and I are an affair child. My brother recently had a DNA test from the same manufacturer I had years ago. Only 25% of our DNA is shared. This was further confirmed by the fact that our ethnicity percentages differ. No, our tests were not confused because our mother's side of the family is just as authentic as our father's. We don't know who it is, but either he or I have an affair, baby. The man who reared us both, our father, has passed away. Knowing that one of us still has a father is crazy, and we both mourned his passing. I didn't want to confront our mother, but he claimed to want to. Whether I am his or not, my father is the man who reared me. I'm simply devastated that we had to learn this way and that our mother voluntarily allowed us to each do DNA testing even though she knew the findings would differ. I'm just hurt and puzzled. Edit to add, my brother intends to approach my mother tonight as I mentioned in the comments. Since my father's identity ultimately doesn't matter to me, I'm remaining neutral. My mother meant everything to me. I don't care whether my biological father would even want to know me now that I'm an adult if I'm an affair child. My father wasn't the best. Ultimately, it doesn't really alter who I am, but I do want to know. It's great that my brother is responding to the news differently. I believe it's because he didn't get along well with our father, and perhaps he secretly thinks that's why. Even if my potential biological father is a somewhat good guy, that it might be wise to avoid looking for a possible biological father. It would simply be very uncomfortable. As I already stated, biological or not, I have already been raised and grieved the loss of my father. My father is dead, even though I am an affair child. I believe that at most, I could be friends or acquaintances with anyone else who would be a parent. In my opinion, he is too old to be a parent figure. Even if I'm not hopeful, I would never exclude my father if he wanted to be involved in my life. Since there's a good chance that it's not even true, I won't conclude that it's a man who wants to be my father and is prepared to make up for lost time. I'm just being realistic, and the facts are as follows. 1. I might not even be the child of the affair. My brother could be, and I wouldn't be involved at all. 2. My mother had a one-night stand with this man when she was desperate and alone, and she hardly knew him, much less knew how to get in touch with him. Someone we might know who is aware of who I am and how I was conceived, but simply chooses not to get involved. In any case, it doesn't matter to me. The outcome won't alter my beliefs or the person I was raised to be. Even after the divorce, my dad was a decent parent to me. As a toddler, I was a complete daddy's girl, and as a teenager, he was the entertaining Disney dad. I had nothing to ask for. He prepared delicious dinners, brought me to the beach to look for beach glass, and did anything I desired. As I stated, I didn't realize what a jerk he was until I was an adult. He had been in jail once for not paying child support, and he was so deeply in debt that he left one day with only the necessities and never returned. He had a severe gambling addiction and was conniving with his friends, boss, and co-workers. Since I was still a child, my mother naturally protected me from most of this. Still, once I learned for myself, she shared all she knew with me because in the end, he was still being a wonderful father to me. The person who suffered the most, however, was my brother. My dad mistreated my sibling, who is neurodivergent. In addition, my father allowed him to live with him, skip school, and do anything he wanted, making him a pawn in the divorce of my parents. My brother barely completed high school since he didn't acquire any skills to land a better career. He worked low-paying jobs to support his family. He has abandonment issues on top of everything else because my father likewise ejected him the moment he was no longer needed. The reason for the differential treatment, in my opinion, was not biology, but instead my father's desire to have no more children. He was obviously very upset about my brother's existence. Still, by the time I was born, he had come to terms with the fact that he was once again a parent and that there was nothing he could do about it. Since our maternal DNA is identical but not our paternal DNA, it is already rather obvious when we are instructed to undergo a fresh test. Additionally, I do not want to overspend on this. I would never hold anything against my mother because, at the end of the day, I still love her. My brother is the one who intends to face her, not me, and as I mentioned earlier, I don't care. My mom was my primary parent, and my dad is no longer with us. I will not spend hundreds of dollars on something I do not wish to investigate. I'm a homeowner in my early 20s, so I can't afford to pay $100 or more on items like this, but perhaps others have extra money to spend on such things. My brother invited my mom to supper. After they finished their meal, my sister-in-law brought my oldest children to play with their neighbors. To be completely honest, this was done so that my brother could speak to our mother by himself. My brother showed our mother the photos from her DNA tests. She was very shocked and upset, he said, not the response of someone who had deliberately cheated. In summary, my brother is the affair baby. I quote this since my father agreed with me. My father was a traveling salesman when my brother was conceived, and my mother was in her early 30s. He was a member of an elite group at his job and was always a fantastic salesman. They would go on retreats and do other activities, give the guys who worked the hardest a reward. According to my mom, these recruits were basically swinger events. My father basically forced my mother to partake in these events, but she ended up enjoying herself since my father was such a selfish lover. All the men either wore condoms or had vasectomies. But you can lie about both of those at the end of the day. She honestly didn't know that my brother wasn't biologically my father's, and unfortunately she has no idea who his buffet could be, because by her own admission she said there were dozens, and they weren't exactly close with these people. She obviously stopped doing it when she found out she was pregnant, and my father nor his douche friends were attracted to my mother's mom body. So there's no way I was conceived by another. I'm both happy and sad at the same time. Deep down, I kind of wish I was the affair baby, because my brother is struggling a lot more with this than I am, and he's struggling twice as much because he will never know who his real father is. Like I said, I'm probably going to respectfully bow out here, but if he reaches out for support or help, I'm not going to decline. I'm just giving him space to digest everything. I know, weird ending, but I don't know. I don't feel all that different. Maybe it's because I'm not the one in his situation, but I feel very unchanged, probably because, like I said, my father is dead, biological or not. I've grieved and moved on, and even if I found out he wasn't my father, I still wouldn't have a father. I don't see myself updating any further. We found out what we found out, and like I predicted, this doesn't change how I feel about my mother or my father. My brother has a lot to think about, and at the end of the day, this isn't my circus to share anymore, it's his. My mother isn't a liar. I've never caught her in a lie in my entire life. She's the most honest person I know. I think this was 100% truthful. I have no reason to think otherwise. Also, forcing my mom into swinging because he wanted to have sex with other women is extremely believable. Not going to lie. I think it's just her honesty, bone kicking in. You know, since she's a very honest person, she expects that honesty in return. I gladly give it to her, but I know the majority of people will not, including men who just want to have quick sex. I think she was genuinely shocked and just being woefully ignorant about the whole situation. And of course I believe her when she says that I was not an affair child. What would she gain from telling my brother he wasn't a fair child, but I'm not? It literally wouldn't make. Given that my brother is aware that he will never learn the identity of his biological father, I can see why he is going through such a difficult time. Coming to terms with that is not an easy task. Since it's not my reality, it would be more difficult for him to learn that the father you believe to be your biological father is actually not. Adding the dishonesty of someone lying about birth control or vasectomies to already complex scenarios makes swinging even more chaotic. Although it's difficult to accept, she's finally being honest about it. I appreciate you following along with this narrative. Sharing family secrets can help us support one another through the highs and lows. Family secrets can be emotional. Please click the subscribe button if you like this tale and want to hear more. Please join our community to help others find us. Leave your stories in the comments, and remember to like and share. You will want to see what comes next, so stay tuned for more real-life stories.